Welcome back, guys, to
Hey
Broke versus
guys.
Poor. We are here, we are back, and we are excited to get going again. We've been down for a couple of days because I had wisdom, teeth pain, and a bunch of other things going on. Roman's been out here protesting, but we are back and we are here to discuss opinions and strategies on how to better your financial selves. And we have an absolutely stacked roster for you guys. Today, we are going to be talking about broke versus poor. It's really going to be a heavyweight battle about what the difference is and how we're thinking about those things. So we really want to differentiate those for you guys. We want to talk about some apps that you can use to keep track of your finances and how to just make sure that you're staying organized. We're going to do some sterling statements, and we got pet facts all coming to you guys right after these.
All right, guys. And so the first idea I came about from Broke versus Poor actually came from Rich Dad Poor Dad, which we brought up that book again, where we mentioned it a few times probably throughout these videos. And it had me got me first thinking about, okay, what was that difference? Because you always thought about if you were just broke, you just always had no money and this and that. But once I read this quote, it definitely changed things for me. And it was contrary to popular belief, poor and broke do not mean exactly the same thing. Both involve a lack of money. However, being poor is a mindset and being broke is only a temporary condition. Just focusing on that as just being like poor is really just a mindset. Broke is temporary. Money will always come in. You always have more coming in. You can always grow that.
Robert Kiyosaki was definitely on one when he was writing that book, man. Like, that book is so like financially relevant, even though he wrote it like 20 years
You
ago.
know,
But man, the differences in broke versus poor is vast. Like, being broke is, hey, I just got paid on Friday. It's Monday, and I paid all my bills. I had to pay my rent and my car note and my car insurance and my all this other stuff, and I only have $50 left over. But my gas tank is full. I have food at the house. Like, everything is good, but you just don't have as much as you want. So it's a temporary, the temporariness. Is that a word?
yeah,
It's a word. Okay.
yeah.
It's the temporary state that you're in of, man, now I have to wait X amount of days until I have more money coming in. So that is what broke is. It's the fact that, man, I don't have everything that I could possibly want in life, but I'm not starving. I'm not behind on bills. I'm not this, I'm not that. Versus poverty, which is very, very different. It's a vast difference. Most of the people that are living in the United States are not poverty. So there's the poverty line that we're going to get into in a little bit and really talk about the United States versus the rest of the world. But poverty is not just a state of mind, but it also has to deal with your economic climate. So where you're living in relation to the world. So I'm actually going to hop right into the differences in the US. You have the US facts, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I have the world poverty facts. And this is scary. We're gonna link below where where we're finding this information. But this is 9 world poverty statistics that everyone should know. We're not gonna go over all of these, but this is a article that was done in January of 2020, and this is crazy. Number one, globally, 10% of the world is living on less than $2 a day. Like, let that
two
sink in. Like,
dollars a day.
$2 a day.
That's more than a cup of
So,
coffee that most people buy in the morning.
man, real talk, like, that is insane. So just on that alone, that already takes away like anybody that's working anywhere. If you're on minimum wage, if you're just doing a side hustle, literally homeless people that are selling cans they can make more than $2 a day. $2 a day is where poverty is in terms of a global status. That is mesmerizing to me. So when we talk about poverty, it's really like a vast difference of, I'm so poor. No, you're not. You just don't have any money right now, which means that you're broke, yes, but it doesn't mean that you're poor and living in that type of economic climate like people that are in third world countries, that type of situation. So it's very important that we have a conversation and differentiate the two, so even our speech is correct and how we're even talking about finance.
We always talk about first world problems, and that's definitely something right there where being a first world country, any of them, like you definitely have that more opportunity to go out and make money and grow income some way. We're going to definitely go to that more and even more videos about how to, if you're only working that minimum wage job and not have enough money to come in, you feel like to cover your bills, ways to grow your income, invest in yourself, get more knowledge that where you could do that. Like the latest poll or census from a U.S. poverty rate was 11.8% in 2018, which is zero point 0.5 percentage points before the year before that. But that's still pretty high. You would think that ours would be a lot lower here in the U.S. And even just looking at this racial wealth gap as a whole, white families have an average of $171,000 as a net worth, whereas black families have an average net worth of $17,000. That is a huge difference. And yes, we have had many years of oppression that can go back to that, just from like slavery, of just generational wealth that's been building, of not in black families and minorities not being able to grow on that wealth. And that's why even now, with everything going on in the world, there's a lot of things talking about, well, how do we close that gap? We have Jerome, the money printing pal, going in, printing out trillions of dollars in CARES Act and stimulus packages. But how do we kind of start focusing more on that racial wealth inequality gap as well? So that's also been something just interesting.
Definitely. I think that it's important for us for you and I as Black people, but for people in general, because younger people are not typically making as much as older people in general. So we have to take control of our finances. Like, we have to take better control of our finances. And it starts with first an understanding of where we're at, which is why we're going to talk about some of the apps that you guys are going to need to really understand your finances from check to check, and from day to day. But we have to do a better job of understanding how we're talking about money, even as we talked about in the last video, futured and versus futureless language speaking countries, and how they save and the differences in that. So if we're doing these things, we're making very small changes. It can really help us in terms of long-term success and having money like for a long time, and having wealth and not just money. So that's another thing that we'll talk about later.
And I know people hate it. I know people hate this B word right here, but budget. Like, a lot of those things could be helped, and just a good starting point is going to be your budget, figuring out where your money's coming in and where it's going out to right then. I know a lot of people have their bills set on auto pay, or they just automatically come out your checking account. You're not even really knowing where all your money's going. You're just waking up and you're like, I got $3 in my account. Where'd all my money go? Well, if you had a budget and you at least tracked where everything was going and where every dollar was going, you would know exactly what was going on with it. So that's why we're definitely going to go into that, because that helps with that being broke. If you could save more money check to check and figure out where everything is going, cut down spending on coffee or transportation or whatever, and put more money in your actual pocket so you can pay yourself, then that's going to do nothing but grow your income and grow your net worth.
Absolutely. So I want to read another one of these facts, because even as I'm reading them, I'm like, what? Because number 6 on this list says, rural populations around the world are 7 times as likely as urban populations to be drinking contaminated water. Like, we had a couple years ago, the whole Flint, Michigan thing, which apparently is still a thing. But we saw how much uproar there was over one city in the United States. It was like all the other cities are fine. One city was having this issue, but this is 7 times as likely in the rest of the world than here. And we talk about poverty here, like, we understand poor. We don't understand poor. We don't understand that mentality. The mentality of people in the United States and poor it's all up here. That's a mental battle that you have. It is not that you can't make this stuff happen and that you don't have ways to make ends meet. We have so many opportunities to do things. You can always start a side hustle. You can always pick up another side job. You can always make better use of your time, getting up earlier and staying up later. I mean, if you decide that you were working a 9 to 5 and you want to go and get another job from 6 to midnight, you can do that, and then you get home, you take a shower. It's not fun, but have opportunities to do that. So in terms of poverty, like first world poverty, we have so many more opportunities to better ourselves, and that's going to allow us to increase our wealth long term. Like, you can always spread yourself a little bit more thin if you needed to. I mean, I've done it. It's
Yep.
fine, but I'm also I'm a single man that's, like, I don't have any family, I don't have any kids, like, so I have a little bit of a different situation than a lot of people do. But at the same time, that's exactly why I did it this way. Because I was like, I can do this now. So by the time I choose to have a family, by the time I choose to get married, by the time I choose to do these other things, I won't have to do this because I've put in so much hard work on the front end. But that doesn't change the fact that people right now, they can make a change today that is going to better themselves moving forward. Did you have some of the facts from the world, from the United States?
Yes. The poverty, we're to tell the poverty level here, but also our savings rate as well as that. So our savings rate has actually gone up, and I'm going to guess it happens to be just based off the stimulus checks and people just staying at home and not spending as much by going out, which is great because now you can't go out to the mall. You can't go out and just go to the club and spend $300 one night when you didn't even have $300. We've actually went up from being at 7.5% 2019 to 13% the beginning of this year to now in April being at 33% savings, which is great. That's phenomenal. I really am hoping to see that income really flow out, and not only just in higher families, but lower families as well, the ones that are closer to that poverty line, the ones who are stuck in that poor mindset of using this extra money to set themselves up for a greater dynasty, which we're actually going to have our pet fact come in later from our dynasty dog on that. So we're going to end up getting those things going. That would really hit me as like, I really want to see this money that's being extra saved up go into more investments, more asset growth for our people.
It was interesting because I believe it was Robinhood Snacks this morning, they were talking about $600, I want to say, it's $600 more that people are getting that are on unemployment right now. And that the Republican Party is trying to stop that because more and more jobs are being open, whereas the Democratic Party is saying that we should extend it through July 31st, I wanted to say. So understand that if you are getting unemployment right now, cool, you're getting an extra $600 a month, but that can end at any time, like literally at any time. So if you had the opportunity, yeah, this is not guaranteed money, just the way that stimulus was not guaranteed money. And if there's an update on stimulus, we'll be able to give you guys that. But if there is no guarantee to the money that you're getting, you have to put all of that away. You have to think of yourself as a business. So as your business is getting paid, you pay your expenses, but you also have to have money aside for other things that are happening. That savings plan that you have to have is so important. That hardship plan that you have to have is so important. But having that money that is coming in that is extra right now can get you caught up on some things. Absolutely, you should get caught up on your bills. At the same time, you've got to start putting some of that aside. You've got to start making better choices, because what happens when you go back to making minimum wage? Are you going to stay where you're at, or are you going to have money saved? Are you going to put yourself back in that same position? And that is the difference in being broke versus poor. It's having the differentiation of, is there a way out of this or not? Because if there's no way out, that is poverty. You're living in that poverty. But if you have a way out, which right now you may have a situation where you can get out of it. If you're getting that extra money, if you're getting the stimulus, if you have more time, so now you can start working, you can start doing other things. That is a way out for you. That is take that exit and dip. Like just take that and run with it. So that is my little rant on the poverty mindset and the differences.
Dave Ramsey talking about, anyone's ever listened to Dave Ramsey, heard this for years. You got to have an emergency plan of at least $1,000, like first saved up. You want to at least have that first base no matter where you're at. And then from there, you're paying off your debt, you're getting on your budget. Then grow that emergency fund up to, I personally say like 9 months to a year of like, especially when you see a time like this where we've already been locked down in the country now for about 6 months. Yeah, it happened in March, but we were already kind of slowing down in January. So now we're in about like 6 months now. That's why we're in a recession now. we're in 6 months of like a economic downturn, and having that extra money built up so that way you can always pay your bills if your job is go out, or medical expenses, or car expenses, or child care, pet care, whatever that pops up, you have money there to always pay those things. That is even more important now than it was ever. Now that we're seeing like, oh, you can just be sitting at home out of nowhere, everyone just lose their jobs out of nowhere, but yet the world continue to run off of money, and you constantly need it for those healthcare needs, those food, shelter, healthcare, food, water.
Yeah, all the essentials,
All the
things that are
essentials, you need the
essential.
money.
Well, that's why it was important when you were talking about paying yourself, because I was talking about, oh yeah, you pay all your bills and you only have $50 left, and that's what makes you broke. But you brought up a very different point that was really important. You want to tell the people about what you were saying on paying yourself.
Yeah. So you get that first check, and let's say that first check is $500. You take 10 to 20% of that, put it right in your savings account, and then you pay all your bills. Even if you end up being left with $50 in like your checking account, you have that $100 to $200 already in your savings account, already there waiting to be used for investment, for savings, for whatever. But that money's for you. That's for your diet. That's for your growth. That's for your future right there. You can automatically use whatever you want to do with it instead of just being like, because if you have $200 sitting in your checking account, you are way more likely to go out and just spend that on whatever. You ready to
That's
just go
gone.
out?
That's gone.
It's
What you
gone.
mean?
You're just going to spend it on whatever. You see something that you want, you're going to pay for it. But if it's in your savings account, that's a little bit harder for you to access. You're not going to spend it. You're going to use that thing to set yourself up more in the future. And because you're not going to need it. If all your bills are already paid, you already got your food, water, clothes, all that stuff taken care of, you're good. You leave a little bit of money in there for whatever needs. Everything else, you start saving up for your future. That right there, and that makes you feel good. Once you hit those milestones of being like, oh, I got $500 saved. I got $1,000 saved. Okay, now I got $2,000 saved. It makes you feel better, especially as your bank account grows. It makes you feel better when you wake up and you see more money in your account. That gets you out of that poor mindset. It's having you feel better, having you look better. You're like, okay, I can do this. This thought
Yeah.
is a
So
lot easier.
ways to actually do that, things that we don't do, like I never looked at tax documents and stuff until I started working in HR, right? And there's a spot on your tax form where you can take a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount out of your account, out of a direct deposit. So let's say that your direct deposit was $100. If you put 10%, it'll automatically take $10 out, and then it will take all of your taxes out, and then you get whatever's left into your direct deposit. So you can put two account numbers on there and have money come straight out of your check, so you'll never see it. It goes right into your savings account. That's the same thing that I did with my 401k. So now there's money that I never see, but it's also not taxed unless I start touching it. Once I start messing with it, then the government wants to tax it and all this other stuff, which is why it comes out and goes right over there.
Yeah, we'll talk about taxes and 401ks and Roth IRAs and all that stuff later videos. It's a lot of information.
It was a lot of information.
We'll
But still,
go over
use the W4s. Use the W4s and all this other stuff. It's important. We're definitely going to make those things clear for you guys. So let's talk about ways and apps that people can use to make sure that they are keeping track of their financial situations.
Yes. So let's go into the budgeting. So first, my top 5 apps on which people can track their budgeting. First one, your straight up banking app. Most people now that have, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, PNC, all those banks have built in right into their apps or even on their website to track your spending and your budgeting and see what categories you're spending in. First, right there is something you should be looking at. Second one is do a written budget. It helps so much more when you actually write out your income this month, your expenses, because you're like, whoa, I spent this, whoa, I saved this. When you actually physically write it out, it puts a lot more physical, tangible aspect right there in your mind. Third one for me is going to be Mint.com. Now, with these apps, I'm going to go over a little bit of pros and cons for each one. Mint.com is cool because you can just sync all your apps right up in there for your investments, your checkings, your savings, everything like that. My con about it is not the most user-friendly as the 2 other ones I'm going to bring up. It's a little bit more hard to kind of get going, but once you get it going, it's very fluid and very easy, and you can always kind of check up on it. Third one for me is Personal Capital. To me, that one's the best user-friendly app. It's very easy to set up, very easy to, all the charts and everything look very beautiful, very clean-looking app, and very good website. The cons of it is, you have to always relink some of your accounts a lot. Like sometimes I relink my stash investments or like my credit card account just for like verification reasons. But that's a small thing there. Other than that, like it's a beautiful app and I like it a lot. Truebill is probably the most simplest one to use. But as far as its cons, it's a paid version if you actually want to use everything with it. And when you compare that to Mint and Personal Capital, who are all free, Truebill is like a little bit like, why would you pay for an app where you can do the exact same things for free through your bank, writing it down, or Mint or Personal Capital. So they're all good ways to do that, but at least use one of these options to start tracking your money, see where it's coming in and where it's going out. Because they'll send you updates every week and every month, like, hey, you spent $500 extra this week than last week on what you did. Or this month you saved more money than what you did last month. Getting those notifications make you feel good or keep you on track because you're like, oh snap, I'm spending too much money. I got to slow this down. Or hey, I'm spending more or spending less. That's way better. I'm saving more. That's good. You want to be able to see those things in real time sometimes, and that's a great way to do that. And being able to see where every dollar is coming in and where every dollar is going out is going to help you. You need to know where your money's going because it's your money. It's not your phone company's money. It's not your landlord's money. It's not whoever else's money. It's your money, and you need to know where it's going to and how much is going out and how much you're keeping for yourself as well.
I'm a writer. I wrote everything down, and month by month, I write it all down. But the con to that is that you don't have it immediately the way that you do with the apps.
Yeah.
So when I started using different apps and things, I would just put in like the big picture amount of how much I have. But on paper, I write down every bill, everything that I own to everybody. And I watch that decrease month by month or week by week. Like every 2 weeks I get paid, I sit the last one right next to the new one, and I just print out a template, print out a bunch of those, and you can literally tell how much money you're spending, saving, and all that stuff, and keeping track. But like I said, just the downfall of that is that you're not going to have that at a moment's notice, the way that you would have with some of these apps. So that's what I would say is a con to just writing it out. But I'm old school, and that's what I want to do.
Like when I first started, getting real serious about my budget, I started off writing it out just so we can get that real tangible. And I got my girl doing it and just seeing just her growth in that and just writing it down every month and just looking at it. And she gets excited now when she says like, my checking account's going up, my savings is going up, my investments are going up, like all her credit card bills are going down. Looking at those things tangibly makes you feel better, and it makes that anxiety and that stress about your money go down because it's a stressful thing. We know it is. And that's why doing a budget can be so stressful because you don't want to know that like, oh man, I'm spending too much money. I'm spending this money. That's why I have no money. It puts it in a very real sense about what's going on in your life.
I think that we need to go ahead and wrap this up because people got things to do, you and me and everybody else got things to do. So we're going to jump right into Sterling statements and let you guys know just the main point that we wanted you guys to pull out of this episode. One, we need to make sure that we're understanding the big difference in temporary brokenness versus long-term hardship and being poor. Understanding that mindset that you have has to change if you want to be successful long term. Being broke is, like we said, it's temporary. It is something that you can change. It's something that you can fix. It's not something that you have to sit with. So get yourself together, like do better for yourself, pay yourself. And then we want to make sure that you guys are tracking your finances, with all the apps that Roman was talking about. We can link them all below. And anything else?
Like, subscribe, share. Please comment.
No, not
please.
that. Man,
sorry.
I'm sorry. We have pet facts. We gotta do.
We do have pet facts. We got Dynasty Dog
facts today. Today's animal is my brother's dog, Kovu. He's playing with his bubbles because he's dope. We're gonna post a picture. But what do we have for the pet fact of the week?
It's gonna be our Dynasty Dog, and really what I'm saying, Dynasty is setting up for generational wealth. We talked about earlier about like just the racial wealth gap and how that was just caused by generational gaps. We have this time now where we can start like also fixing that within our own homes and our own families by starting off with this budget, starting off your savings and your investments. Even right now with the savings rate going up to 33% now, we can start investing more and saving more so that we can set up for our future generations and our dynasties going forward. Be able to set it up to where no one else can worry, have that more financial peace. Our poverty rates also gone down. We have people going down about 1%. We have our average checking accounts going up for about people used to have about $5,000 in their accounts, about $12,000 on an average overall across entire America, which is great.
12,000. It went from 5,000 to 12,000.
Mm-hmm. So we have the trends going, but we want to keep it going even further now. I don't want to see, or any of us really want to see, having our kids or anyone else after us being like struggling with paying bills or not having that knowledge anymore. So we're able to set up that our dynasties now for our legacies going forward. I change everything for everyone, because then everyone can profit off of us and have a good time and not have to worry about that anxiety and that stress. Not to say that people won't have to work for their money or actually still keep growing more wealth and income, but having that start off, at least being able to have like education paid for, healthcare, things like that. Because that's a big thing. A lot of people now to have that leg up forward, because they don't have to worry about paying for school or paying for this, because they know if they needed help, they can go to their families or go to like mom and dad or grandpa or whatever and get some help from them. And a lot of right now, some families don't have that. They have to just struggle and work paycheck to paycheck for that. So we're going to try to get out of that mindset, get out of that trend, just push forward. And that was
excellent. Dynasty Dog of the Week. So shout out to my brother as he's doing his thing. So for next week, we have a pretty jam-packed week for next week. We are talking about investing in self for 2 episodes because it is so important. We want to talk about all that comes into investing in self, why it is so important, what it really looks like. And then we have an expert coming in to talk with you guys that we will share with you a little bit more next week. Again, we do have a giveaway. We have a giveaway coming. So you have to make sure that you are subscribed to the pages and that you're liking these things, because one of y'all is going to get some money this week. One of y'all is going to get some money this week. So we're going to let our special guests do that. So just make sure that you're liking, subscribing, sharing, and all of that good stuff. And we will be back with you guys next week. But until then, understand that we may be young and that we may be broke, but we are always investing. Always investing. Next time, guys, we are out of here.
Peace. Hey everybody, thank you for listening to Young Broken Investing. We just want to let you know that these are the opinions of the hosts, are not meant to be the basis of any security purchases or investments. We're trying to give a little information out there for everybody, and have fun and be safe.